We are social beings, and one of the number one goals of being a social being is to fit in. And so what we tend to do is adapt our energy to fit into the group, the community, the workspace, the family, the friendships, the tribe, so that we can be a part of it and that we are not abandoned or outcast or left alone. Because subconsciously we are wired to come together as community. Whenever we are on our own or we're an outcast, our chances of survival is slim to none. And so we tend to still adapt our energy to fit into the group. Now, what I would like to say and discuss, which is very important in this video, is people will say to be yourself. I don't believe in being yourself. People say to be your authentic self. This authentic self thing doesn't actually exist. It's a lie, another narrative, another personal development book to help you feel warm inside, warm and fuzzy. Oh, I'm going to be my authentic self. But the reality is, when we look at conditioning and we look at the brain, when we look at how we function in this reality, our personality is constructed from our environment, right? We've become who we are because the external world has told us how to be, directly and indirectly, right? Just as little as please and thank you. In the UK, we use P's and Q's. We say please and thank you, right? And we are seen as a polite culture, right? Even though right now I'm in Vietnam, right? There's a politeness in British English speaking, in the way that we speak to people and the way that we handle people. Now, not everybody's like that, but you get my gist, right? Had I grown up in a different country, I wouldn't be using my P's and Q's as much because it's not something that is a part of the culture. So what I'm saying is everything about me and the way that I even speak right now, it doesn't really sound British too much because I speak to a lot of Americans. And so I've got a mixture of American, English, Caribbean in my accent sometimes, depending on who I'm speaking to. And that's me adapting my energy once again. And so that goes to show that there isn't actually an authentic self. There will be people that will say, I'm the same person every time in every situation. And that would be your authentic self. That's not true. The authentic self is a way for the ego to feel secure and safe. The authentic self is a story that we've told ourselves, and that when we find this authentic self, when we realize what it is, then I'll feel comfortable, then I'll feel whole, then I'll feel complete, and all of this stuff. And it's just a complete lie. The ego cannot be a self. There is no self. If you ask yourself, where is the me? Where am I? Right? If you try to find where is me in your body, you can't find a me. There is no authentic self. I'm this character trait. I'm that character trait. No, this is boxing you in to what's possible for you and how you can be. So my idea is that if you're not currently a comedian, you can be a comedian, right? I know it sounds crazy. You feel like you're not a funny person, maybe a little bit boring. I'm not saying that you're this kind of person, but I'm just saying like maybe like we have this idea or concept of who we are, and then we're holding on to this concept of who we are as this is my authentic self. But in actuality, you can be all of this too. You just limited yourself to putting yourself in this little box. What if you are everything? Right? What if you are much more than this authentic self? What if you are beyond ego? What if you are beyond the mind? What if you can be all aspects of life? That you can tap into these energies? What if you say to yourself that, I'm not really that confident in this particular situation. But what if you are confident in this situation? It's just a limitation of mind. What if your idea of confidence, maybe, there are people who watched my videos who believe, I believe I'm a confident person. What if that is a limitation? What if you're much grander than that, and that the confidence is an ego construct of who you think you are, and it's keeping you boxed in to this idea of who you think you are when you are much more than the limitation of who you think you are, right? And so it's very powerful when we can let go of these ideas of that I'm confident. No, you're not. You're saying, no, you're not. I know it sounds dumb and it may sound like a reverse affirmation here where you're saying, oh yeah, I'm not confident. I'm okay with saying that because I'm not identified with the label confidence. You don't need to identify with these labels that I need to be confident and worthy and deserving. So we go ahead and adapt our energy to other people in order to fit in. But what if there was no fitting in? What if there was no other people feeling comfortable? What if there was no concept of you needing to show up in a certain way, needing to be seen in a certain way, needing to be conveyed in a certain way, needing to be understood in a certain way? Oftentimes we have this deep need to be understood. And I can tell you that this need to be understood, because I do one-to-one sessions and when I'm speaking back to people and I'm really tapping into what I'm seeing about them, they feel really understood and they feel like they have no friends and family members around them that understand them the way that I do just after 1 or 2 sessions. And the reason that I'm able and capable to do that is because I understand, number one, they are not this limited self that they think that they are, right? They're not that limited self that they think they are. They're much grander than that. But also, at the same time, it's acknowledging the fact that they are feeling misunderstood in the world. They feel different in the world. And I'm just affirming that it's okay to be who they are currently, right? And that there's nothing wrong with it, right? So there's no need to adapt your energy anymore. Like, you can be yourself. It's really great when you get that confirmation externally from someone who cares about your well-being and your success. But at the same time, we can address that for ourselves. We can say, like, actually, I don't need to be smart. I don't need to be confident. I don't need to be talkative. I don't need to be conversational. I don't need to be this. I don't need to be that. I'm not confident. I'm not attractive. And when I say not confident, not attractive, you're understanding what I mean, right? What I mean is you don't agree with the label anymore. I'm not ugly. I'm not attractive. I'm not beautiful. I'm not ugly. I'm not fat. I'm not slim. We're getting rid of all of the labels of who I am as a person. Right? If you look at my arm, right, you would consider this, if we compare to other people, very slim or skinny person, right? And people, when I was younger, used to take the mick out of me that I'm slim or skinny, right? And that I need to eat more. And this would hurt, that I'm being compared to you or other people, or how I should look or how I shouldn't look. What if we remove the label completely and understand that I'm not skinny? What is skinny? What does that mean? What are you comparing to? Why should I look this certain way? Why should I fit into your narrative on how the world should look? Why am I listening to your ego and conforming to it, trying to adapt to it, trying to change to it? Why am I altering myself to fit into the world when in actuality who I really am is source, God, nature, isness, energy, everything? If we start to perceive ourselves as God, as creator, as is, as truth, as oneness, as energy, because everything is energy, then there's no needing to adapt or change or fit in or do any of this stuff. Now, obviously the ego is still going to do it sometimes, and that's okay. As long as you're aware of what's actually happening, you're aware, oh, ego's trying to fit in right now, and that's okay. It's when we're pulled into the matrix and pulled into this idea to make other people feel comfortable and all this stuff, and then we lose ourselves, which can't actually be lost when you realize who you really are. And so we want to make other people feel comfortable whilst we feel uncomfortable. But the reality is, it's because there's this whole narrative about being authentic and being this certain person to fit into society, and that once I act or behave in this way, that's when I'll get friends and family members and this and that, and then I can relax and I can be okay, right? Then I can feel a part of the social group. But what if you took away the labels, and that you are free, sovereign truth, and that you are God experiencing itself, or God's vicariously seeing through you, and there is no separation between you and God. You are God and God is you, and everything is energy, and that the ego is the character that's running the show right now in your movie. And the real perceiver of reality, the real watcher of this movie is you. And if you want to use the word authentic self, that is the only authentic self that actually exists, because it has no conditioning. It's just pure unconditional love. And the more that we learn to deprogram, antivirus, let go, surrender, and become present of ego, the more that the ego starts to rewire itself and realize who you really are and who is the inner authority. Inner authority is presence, God, isness. The more that we operate from that space of authenticity, real authenticity in my opinion, where there's no conditioning, you go beyond the mind. As you speak to people, it's coming from a different frequency. It's coming from God frequency. It's coming from truth. So information, energy is just one and flowing through you and to you and around you and with you and out of you. And you become like an Abraham Hicks in a way, channeling, right? You become free. Now, I'm not saying that I'm there all the time. I'm sometimes in the ego, I'm in the Gavin, I'm in the me, and then I speak from the me and I speak from the ego. But I practice speaking from the truth, where Gavin disappears and allow the energy to flow through me. And then it's expressed just like I do in my videos. It oftentimes happens in my videos, and it just starts flowing, starts coming through, and just automatically coming through me. When I make a video, I just have the title. I don't know what I'm going to say. It's just going to come out. When you experience going beyond the mind, going beyond the ego, and you practice being there often, you receive information, you receive downloads, you experience who you really are, and then you can't forget it. And when it comes to adapting your energy to other people, it's like, I don't need to do that anymore. Or I don't need to do that as much. Or I can say no. Or I can say what I do like and what I don't like. I can't set a boundary, because the meaning behind what you need to do, the boundary you need to set, the no that you need to say, asking for what you need, is no longer a problem, because you see it as energy. You see it as God. You see it as is. You see it as oneness. Whilst there might be parts of you that still get a little bit scared in the body, because that's the ego and that's conditioning, the presence or the inner authority has dominion over the ego narrative. And we're not trying to beat the ego here. We're just becoming aware of it and becoming aware of the presence that we are. Should I say, realizing the presence that we are and operating more from that space, which will support in developing higher levels of restlessness. Now, restlessness is seen as a negative thing, but it can be looked at in a positive way. Many six-figure millionaires, billionaires have high levels of restlessness. And restlessness is when you can do something that you might be afraid of or feel uncomfortable or is challenging. You can feel something challenging, a strong emotion inside you, but it doesn't matter what you're feeling, you're going to do it anyway. Oftentimes what happens is people get paralyzed by their emotion. They need to feel in a certain way before they can take action. And people who have high level of restlessness, it doesn't matter how they're feeling. They're going to take action. So when you're able to practice this more and more, you will grow your level of restlessness, where you can have deep anxiety and still do what you need to do in order to manifest the goal. You can still do what you need to do in order to speak to that person or have that conversation or whatever it is, because the fear or the doubt or the anxiety is not overriding and deciding what you need to do, because you realize that you are presence, God source, and you're operating from that space, and the ego has sort of become submissive to that. And it needs to listen, or it just needs to understand that you're not going to focus on it. And that's when we bring back our power, when we realize more of our inner authority and allowing that to exude through you more and more every day. The more that you practice this, the more that you get to experience this God frequency, the more that you will able to achieve your goals, manifest things into your life, but also stop adapting to other people's energy to make them feel comfortable. And the really beautiful thing about embracing the real authentic self is that people will accept you even more so. They will like you even more because they can feel you. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes being in your power, so to speak, other people can feel you more and they develop a respect about you, where you stand your ground. And whilst they might not agree with what you're saying or how you're being, they still respect you for staying in your energy. People who are empathic, who are more sensitive, tend to mold to other people's energy. And then respect is kind of lost. And then what happens is they walk all over you, or they feel like they could take advantage of you, or they're constantly asking you for help. And then you just say yes, yes, yes. And you become a yes person, right? A people pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so we want to learn that all of these narratives and stories and who we think we are on an ego-based level is all a lie, and just let it go. It's not who you are. Right? We're looking for who we are. I need to find my place in the world. I need to go to India. I need to go to Bali to find myself and do a spiritual retreat and all of this stuff. No, you don't. You don't need to spend any money to find yourself. You're here right now in presence. In presence, you found yourself. That is you. Only the ego is going to tell you that is not you. Who you really are is blank. A blank whiteboard, a blank blackboard, a blank whatever board, right? You're a blank canvas. That's who you are. Nothing. Right? You are nothing. Nothing is God, and God is everything. Our world, our reality is 99.999999999% empty space. You are that empty space. Nothing ever touches each other. When I clap my hands together, yes, it makes a sound, but my hands never really touch because it's 99.9% empty space. You are empty space. You are nothing. I remember when I took the ayahuasca mother ayahuasca said, you are nothing and you are everything, right? It's you are nothing, right? Because I had this sense of importance and ego and that, like, I'm a YouTuber and I help people and all of this stuff. And it humbled me big time. And it showed me you are nothing, right? But you are everything. And this is the humble place where I say to come from. It's like, it's not I am everything in terms of I am everything. I'm a badass. I'm going to change the world. I am going to grow a YouTube channel. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm not saying everything in terms of that. It's like everything, that you are everything in terms of you are everything, everything. Everything that you're seeing right now in this video is you. Everything that you're hearing right now is you. You can only hear you. You can't hear me, right? Even the fact that I'm saying hearing me, you're not hearing me, you're hearing you. Every word that coming out of my mouth, every movement that I make is you. It cannot be me. It's impossible for it to be me. It's both of us at the same time, okay? Because I am you and you are me. There's no separation between you and me. It may look that way because that's the way the ego, brain, mind interprets it, but it is all one. It is all one. One, one, one. Or 0, 0, 0. None, none, none. It's all none. It's all an empty space. Our brain cannot comprehend it. It cannot be comprehended. It's not possible for our brain to fully understand what it actually is. But you can get a glimpse of it when you are in practice of meditation and you go up into the no self, where you disappear. There is no ego narrative story anymore. The voice has disappeared in your mind and you become blank. Your body has become blank. You've become nothing. When you become nothing, you become everything. When you become everything, you don't need to manifest. You don't need to mold your energy. You don't need to adapt your energy. You just choose your reality and the energy that's coming through you can be expressed. Does that make sense? Let go of all conditioning. Obviously, we need it in certain circumstances and scenarios. I'm not saying to be completely woo-woo here, right? We use the ego to navigate this reality. This reality right now has been constructed in a certain way based on ego. And so we need to navigate our reality using ego. But what I'm saying is to bring some presence towards it in this adaptation thing, you know, in the situations of adapting to other people's energy, in work, in your money, in your success. Yes, we need to be practical, but we also need to bring presence into everything that we are doing whilst also being practical. Does that make sense? This is have God in your heart. Be as God. Work as God. Experience as God. Speak as God. Hear as God. See as God, smell as God. Open your heart and surrender the conditioning so you can experience more God. You can't experience God in the mind. It's impossible. You cannot experience God in the mind. It is impossible because the mind is limitation. God is unlimited, infinite. So if you continue focusing on being in the mind, you will never experience spirituality in the way that it has been taught in the East. In the West, we are taught manifestation, ego, manifest material things. This is not spirituality. This is colonized spirituality. This is what people do in the West. They take from the East. They take from other countries. Yoga is not yoga in the West. Like yoga in the East is not yoga in the West. What is yoga? Yoga is reconnected with self. Yoga is realizing self. Yoga is not stretching. You know, it's not something fancy to do because I'm spiritual, right? It's connecting back with breath, back with source, back with God, back with is, back with movement, back with nature, back with who you really are. That's what yoga is. It's not stretching. It's much more than that. And so that's what we got to realize, is that a lot of the spiritual teachings out here in the Western, on YouTube and stuff like this, is watered down spirituality. You want to manifest this, you want to manifest that. Yeah, I understand why we want to manifest these things. If you're going to manifest, bring God with it. When I say God, I'm talking about you as God. Don't just do it from ego. Like my mind, I want to manifest a thing. My ego, my condition is telling me I want this thing. The thing that I want is God. I am God. The thing that I want is God. It's all God. So when you're having those conversations with people, when you're talking to people, when you're engaging with people, when you're interacting with people, experience yourself as God. Not who I need to be, how I need to talk like this, No, experience yourself as God. And as you begin to do that and practice that more and more, you'll be your true, authentic self, beyond ego, beyond the mind. And you won't need to make other people feel comfortable, because there's no such thing as feeling comfortable anymore. It doesn't exist. You might see it on people's faces, but because you're radiating this energy of presence, they will begin to feel comfortable anyway, because you're operating from a certain frequency, energy that they will recognize. And you won't have to say a thing about spirituality. You won't need to say a thing about raising your vibration, or you need to read this book or that book. They will feel something from you, and just feeling something from you in that energy, just feeling that energy from you, you've planted the seed, and that's it. What they do with that energy goes from there. Maybe they're going to call you back. Maybe they're going to have a conversation with you. Maybe they're going to read a book that was connected to the energy that you was presenting in that moment when you were just randomly talking about some gossip stuff. You could talk about gossip stuff in presence, right? But you was in presence and they felt something. And that vibration is that led them to reading a certain book, and that book is awakening them to remembering who they are, so that they can feel comfortable in situations and not adapt their energy to other people. Does that make sense? And we're all helping self. We're only helping ourselves. We're all selfish. I'm only joking. I'm kidding, right? All right. So this video, I know it's weird. It's different. It's not the usual teachings. And that's why I created a whole program on how to really awaken to these ideas and concepts more, and going deep and going beyond manifestation based on this illusion of the mind, whilst being able to print money, of course, right? I share with you how to manifest your reality. So with that being said, links in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.